They wanted you to live in a state of constant mental torment. But now they're the ones haunted, unable to sleep, tormented by the deafening echo of your silence. They laughed at your tears, celebrated your struggles, and whispered curses over your life, thinking their shadows could somehow dim your light. Yet the same darkness they conjured to consume you is now devouring them from the inside out. Did they really believe you were a joke? That they could drag your name through the mud, break your spirit, steal your glow, and simply walk away untouched? The audacity is staggering. How dare they come for someone chosen by the universe itself? Before we dive deeper, if this message resonates, like this video, subscribe, and drop the number 88 in the comments if you feel it. If you know the storm they wished for you has now become their own personal flood, your engagement helps get this message to more chosen ones, because YouTube notices when the awakened come together. Let's put this truth into the hands that need it most. This isn't just karma, it's consequence. It's the universe balancing the scales in ways you never had to. This is for every chosen one who never threw a punch, but still delivered a knockout. You didn't destroy them with words, drama, or revenge. You destroyed them by surviving, by finding peace, by rising above. Now they're coming undone, slowly, quietly, and painfully. They mistook your silence for weakness, never realizing it was your strategy. While you were suffering alone, breaking in silence, screaming in your mind, the universe was taking notes, witnessing everything and stacking up receipts for this very moment. They can't cope with what they did to you, not anymore. Back then, they felt untouchable, justified, and powerful. They convinced themselves you deserved the pain, manipulated others into seeing you as unstable, dramatic, or obsessed. They spun entire stories out of envy and lies, recruited their flying monkeys, played the victim while stabbing you in the back with a smile. For a while, it seemed like they were winning. You doubted yourself, questioned your reality, and wondered if you were the problem. That's exactly what they wanted, for you to lose sight of your own truth. But somewhere inside that spark, the one that whispered, "You're not crazy, you're chosen," never went out. Now that inner power is louder than ever. Not seeking revenge, but shining through your reflection and your peace while they try to sleep, haunted by the echoes of their own actions. You rest in genuine peace while they're chased by the faces of everyone they harmed. You radiate alignment, and that glow burns them in ways they can't escape. It's not just what you survived, it's that you survived them. Chosen one, how can you doubt your own power now? Yes, you questioned it. You thought you were cursed, forgotten, abandoned. But you weren't cursed, you were called. You weren't abandoned, you were activated. The universe took you out of the chaos so it could work on your behalf. And now that work is undeniable. The very people who laughed at your breakdown are the ones breaking now. Those who tried to destroy your mind can't even face their own thoughts. They wanted you to be tormented. Now they're the ones living in torment. They wished for your collapse. Now they're shattered. They tried to push you to the edge. Now they're lost and mistrustful of their own minds. This isn't cruelty, it's correction. The natural order returning what they sent out, carrying receipts, judgment, and fire. You never wished harm upon them. But energy always finds its way back home, and now it's settling the score. So stay tuned, chosen one. This is just the beginning. Are you ready to truly feel this? To receive this soul truth, not just as another message, but as a mirror. If you know in your spirit that someone out there is being crushed by the weight of what they did to you, drop the number 77 in the comments to mark the reversal. Every like and every comment signals that another chosen one is waking up. Let's flood the feed with light and help those still questioning their own strength. Don't scroll away. If you're really chosen, you'll feel the pull to stay to the last word, because deep down, you already know this is about you. Let's break it open, piece by piece. First, let's get real. What they tried to do to you is now happening to them, especially on a mental level. They wished for you to lose your mind, but now they're the ones who can't escape their own thoughts. They find themselves talking to shadows, begging the noise in their head to quiet down. They labeled you as crazy, unstable, even told others you were spiraling out of control and weren't yourself anymore. In reality, all they were doing was projecting their own chaos, planting seeds of destruction in your soil, and hoping your roots would rot from within. Now those same vines are choking them. The silence they forced on you is now screaming in their own lives. Their nights are restless, haunted by what they've done, and there's no one left to save them. Because the torment was never meant for you. It was always their own energy, destined to return. Chosen one, listen closely. They're unraveling. Not physically or socially, but mentally. The real war is now raging inside their own heads. The punishment they once hoped to see play out in your life is echoing back at them in their own minds. A cycle they can't break no matter how hard they pray. The same chaos they tried to wrap around you is now crawling under their skin. That tension, anxiety, and confusion you once carried, they're living it now, every minute of every day. It's not just guilt, it's a spiritual reckoning. They wanted your confidence shattered, wanted you paranoid, scattered, ashamed of being sensitive. They whispered about you behind closed doors. They thrived on the narrative that you were in decline, and you felt it. You just couldn't put your finger on why. You questioned yourself, thinking maybe they were right. Maybe you really were too much, too broken. But the truth is, you were never broken. You were targeted. You were under psychic siege. But even through that, the universe never abandoned you. While they laughed, schemed, and cast curses, the universe was gathering evidence. Now the spiritual courtroom is in session, and they're facing the very sentence they wrote with their own hands. Ever wonder why it's all happening to them mentally first? Why they're losing sleep, seeing things that aren't there, jumping at shadows, hearing voices only they can hear? Because that's where they tried to break you, in your mind. That's where the energy returns first. Their own inner world is turned against them, just as they tried to turn yours inside out. This is more than karma. It's universal symmetry, pure karmic balance. And in case you're doubting yourself, no, you're not imagining this. You're not being unkind for noticing the shift. You're not delusional for sensing the darkness clinging to them. Outwardly, they might still look composed, maybe even thriving. But you can see the glitch in their aura, the tired spirit, the desperate energy. Their thoughts are screaming, and that's exactly what they wanted for you. You didn't break, but now they are. Let's get personal for a second. They tried to mentally destroy someone marked by the universe, not with empty titles or fake spirituality, but someone truly chosen, the kind of soul the universe whispers to, the one who keeps shining, even through tears, the one who still radiates power after being dragged through the fire. That's you. You are the reason their reality is glitching, the reason their peace is leaking through the cracks. And yet you still sometimes doubt your own strength. Be honest. You've wondered why you had to go through all this. Ask the universe why it let them win for so long. You mistook your silence for weakness, your pain for a lack of protection. But you weren't forsaken. You were being sharpened. You weren't silenced. You were shielded. You didn't lose. You learned. Every great one faces this. Just look at how the world treated visionaries like Oprah, Kanye, or Britney. Their depth was ridiculed and misunderstood, only to be validated later. You're walking that same path, and of course, it made you doubt yourself. That's where the enemy strikes first, your mind. Now, as they experience the same turmoil they tried to inflict on you, they can barely function. This isn't a coincidence. It's a direct result of your resilience. They thought they could hide behind lies, shift blame, gaslight you until you self-destructed. But you held on. You pieced yourself back together, affirmed your worth through the pain, and now as you heal, they unravel. Why? Because truth always has a timeline. Every lie they told about you is now circling back as anxiety, paranoia, and deep spiritual unrest. And no one is coming to save them. Not because they're being attacked, but because they're being corrected. This is what real justice looks like for the chosen. Not some dramatic revenge, but a quiet, undeniable reversal. Your peace is exposing them. Your energy is speaking the truth without you needing to utter a word. So whenever that old doubt creeps in, remember this. They thought you'd lose your mind and now they can't find theirs. They're drowning in the very darkness they tried to pull you into. That's not coincidence. That's consequence. You were never the problem. You were the proof. So breathe, relax, and watch as the universe completes what it started. Someone out there is struggling to cope with what they did to you, and you didn't have to do anything but survive. Quick pause, family. If this message resonates with your spirit and you want to support the sacred work, consider buying me a coffee. Your support helps keep this space flowing with truth, clarity, and light. The link is in the description. And if you're feeling it, drop the number 88 in the comments. Let's keep going. No one is hurting them. And that's exactly what's hurting them most. They blamed you for everything. But now they're suffocating in the silence of a storm they started alone. There's no one coming after them, no drama, no curse, not even your name on anyone's lips. Yet they're falling apart. That's the part they can't escape, the fact that you've done nothing, but they're still unraveling. The absence of a villain, the silence, is what torments them more than anything else. This isn't revenge, it's self-inflicted karma. The chaos they planned for you is now the reality they're stuck in, and the foundation they tried to bury you under is collapsing under their own feet. While you're out here elevating and living your life, your silence is louder than anything you could say. Your peace is their punishment. They told everyone you were dangerous, unstable, obsessed, but now they're the ones afraid of their own shadow, still secretly checking your page and dreaming about you. You didn't curse them, you just stopped feeding the connection. When you pulled your energy back, their world started glitching because they were feeding off your reaction, your light. Once you disconnected, they were left alone with themselves. And there is no punishment worse than facing your own untreated poison. If you sometimes wonder why you still feel guilty or want to check on them, remember, it's because you have empathy. They counted on that. But that guilt isn't yours to carry anymore. Let the universe finish what it started. They never expected this day to come. But now the silence is deafening. No more fuel, no more chaos, no more you. They're not being punished, they're being revealed. If you ever ask why it still hurts, it's because you weren't just chosen, you were refined. You weren't hurt because you were weak. You were targeted because you're powerful. Even in your darkest nights, the universe never left you. It was just preparing the reversal and letting them dig their own grave. Now they're trapped in the mess they created. You didn't burn the bridge, you just walked away. And the fire they lit has turned on them. The real truth is, they know you're not doing anything to them, and that's what destroys them. If you were attacking, they could sleep easier with someone to blame. But there's no one left to fight but themselves. This is what real justice looks like. It's not about revenge, but about being a mirror. They're falling apart because you stopped breaking for them. So let the collapse play out. Let the truth finish its work. You're not their judge, but you are the reflection that cuts deeper than anything you could ever say. Keep rising, chosen one, because no one is hurting them. And that's what hurts them most. They laughed while you cried, but now their own tears echo in an empty room with no one there to witness their breakdown. Remember those moments when you were breaking inside? When your hands shook, your heart ached, and you felt completely alone. While you suffered, they were entertained, mocking your pain and using your lowest moments as their highlight reel. They wanted to see you at rock bottom so they could feel tall, feeding off your struggles to boost their own egos. But now the roles have reversed. They're the ones suffocating under the same weight they once wished on you. And no one's answering their calls. The crowd that cheered their mask is gone. The audience they built with gossip and lies has vanished. When the villain becomes the victim of their own script, there's no applause left, only consequences. Sympathy isn't free. And after mocking your pain, they can't demand it now. They are left choking on the emptiness they gave you. Chosen one, don't feel guilty, or wonder if you should check on them. The universe is simply returning what they put out. While you were bleeding and trying to keep your soul intact, they poured salt in your wounds and called it karma. They thought your pain was entertainment, but now they're learning that suffering alone is a different kind of pain. You survived what was meant to destroy you, and now they can't survive the fallout from their own actions. Don't let them rewrite the story or beg for compassion they never gave. Where was their concern when you needed it? It wasn't there, and now it's not your responsibility to provide it. The universe is handling justice. No interference needed from you. They mocked your pain and performed while you suffered. Now they're crying, and no one cares, because they burned the bridge to sympathy long ago. Their isolation is not an accident, but a result of their choices. Let them sit with the silence they once used as a weapon. They wanted to play God with your emotions. Now they face judgment from the universe itself. Your quiet, powerful healing is proof you were always covered, even when you felt alone. Now the reversal is here. They loved being the villain until the plot twisted and they were left alone, sobbing to an empty room. Don't go back for the encore. Your healing is the only ending that matters. They wished ugliness on you, but now they're the ones fading. They didn't just envy your beauty. They tried to curse it, only to watch their own reflection decay while your glow stays untouched. They whispered for you to fall apart, thinking jealousy could undo what the universe made permanent. But the truth is, they never hated your looks. They hated your light, your presence, that energy they could never imitate or control. Now everything they wished on you is happening to them. The glow they wanted to see disappear from your face has left theirs instead. You might notice how the loudest haters suddenly get quiet, hiding behind filters and vanishing from the spotlight. That's not a coincidence. It's karma returning what they sent. You were never just beautiful, you were chosen. And real beauty from alignment can't be destroyed, only reflected back. They tried to dull your shine with gossip and fake compliments. But you kept rising, never shrinking for their comfort. Even in pain, you radiated peace and strength, and that's what they resented most. They tried to speak your glow away, but the universe flipped the script. Now their reflection is showing every intention they ever cast in secret. They're haunted by what they projected onto you, while you continue to glow without lifting a finger. So don't feel guilty for shining. You didn't hex them. They hex themselves. If your light makes them uncomfortable, that's their own unhealed spirit reacting. Some of them now look in the mirror and see emptiness because they tried so hard to copy your outer glow and never built their own. Let the universe handle it. You were never too beautiful. They were just too broken to handle real life. So the next time you see your reflection, smile. Not because they're fading, but because you survived and kept your peace. They wished ugliness on you, and now the universe has made sure their intentions returned home. Accountability hits different when there's nowhere left to run. They always had someone to blame until the universe showed up with receipts, forcing them to face the truth they've avoided their entire life. You know the type, master manipulators, always the victim, twisting reality so you'd wear the blame. They could ruin your life and still make you look like the villain. But now there's no scapegoat. No distraction, no more fake stories or enablers, just them, alone in the mess they created, finally confronted by accountability. For people like this, accountability isn't just uncomfortable, it's unbearable. They spent years dodging it, blaming everyone else, labeling you as too emotional or dramatic, and twisting your forgiveness into weakness. Maybe they fooled a few people, maybe they even made you question yourself, but that chapter is over. The universe doesn't care about their excuses. Energy is only interested in balance now. The truth is catching up, exposing every lie, every manipulation, every moment they dodged responsibility. Don't doubt what's happening. This is real justice. You gave them grace, but they called it obsession and tried to weaponize your kindness. Now they're unraveling, not because you fought back, but because you stepped away and let the truth take over. Everything they thought was hidden is being revealed. No apology can erase what's done. Energy is balancing the scales. If you ever wonder if you were too sensitive or overreacted, stop. You weren't overreacting. You were under attack. You weren't too sensitive. You were spiritually aware. The universe is now making them answer for every lie, every act of manipulation. This isn't just karma. It's a spiritual courtroom. And energy is the judge. So let them face the truth with no one left to hide behind. You never needed revenge. Your healing, your peace, your silence was the real justice. Now they're left alone with the truth. and there's no way out. You broke a narcissist without ever raising your voice or exposing them. You didn't fight dirty or make a scene. You simply kept breathing and healing, and that shattered them more than any confrontation ever could. This is personal because you didn't just walk away from a toxic connection. You survived a master manipulator, someone so skilled at twisting reality, escaping consequences, and playing untouchable, they believed no one could ever see through them. You weren't the first victim, but you were the first not to fold. Others before you were left wounded, confused, and isolated, manipulated into believing they were the problem. But you did what none of them could. You refused to play their game. You didn't go public with screenshots or try to ruin their image online or gather a crowd for revenge. You broke their cycle by surviving in silence. You walked away, quietly, firmly, and with real power. The moment you cut them off, they felt it like a soul-deep withdrawal. You were their favorite source of energy, chaos, and control, the one they never thought would leave. But when you stopped explaining yourself, stopped reacting, and chose peace, you took all their power with you. Narcissists thrive on control. They need your emotions, your pain, and your attention like air. So when you healed quietly and refused to give them a dramatic reaction, you didn't just reclaim your love, you reclaimed your power. They couldn't believe you were still shining after everything they did to break you. But that's because you're not like the rest. You're not replaceable. You're not forgettable. And you're not breakable. Your soul was built for this. You regenerate, rebuild, and are backed by something greater than them. What they didn't realize was they weren't fighting just you. They were up against alignment itself. Now, the backlash is real. They can't stop checking if you've moved on, but there's no one left to gaslight or manipulate. Their favorite energy source is gone, and the reality they've been avoiding is now crashing down. You didn't need to destroy them. You just needed to survive them. And if you're still doubting yourself, stop. You're not exaggerating, and you're not too sensitive. You walk through emotional warfare disguised as love and survive psychological sabotage masked as concern. The fact that you're still here is proof of your strength. You were the crack in their mask, the mirror they couldn't control, and the disruption to their pattern. They expected you to fall, but you rose instead, breaking their streak for good. Let them unravel and obsess over the image you exposed as fiction. Every time you show up in peace and joy, you remind them you survived. That's your legacy. You didn't just escape, you ended the cycle and shattered their illusion. And that's something they'll never recover from. You kept thinking you were alone, but the universe was quietly watching. Every moment, every tear, every injustice. You thought you were abandoned, but in reality, the universe was right there in the shadows, taking notes, tracking every betrayal, and loading up consequences for those who wronged you. Let's be honest, there were moments when you cried out for help. Moments when you looked up at the ceiling and asked why you had to be the one suffering, while liars and manipulators seemed to get away with everything. You doubted. You felt forsaken. You believed that the silence meant you were left behind, unseen and unprotected. But it's time for a reality check. Because the silence wasn't abandonment. It was protection. The delay wasn't punishment. It was precision. You were never alone. You were being watched over with a focus and intention you couldn't even imagine. The truth is, they weren't just fighting you. They were battling against the spiritual shields that surrounded your destiny. Every attack they threw wasn't just against your person, but against the invisible protection placed around you by forces greater than any human can comprehend. Now those same forces are demanding payment, and the debt is coming due. You might have thought the universe was letting them win, that it didn't care what you were enduring. But that's never what was happening. The universe was allowing you to see their real character, to witness their true nature without the filter of illusions, so you'd never question the decision to cut ties. Some people are too skilled at hiding, too manipulative, too spiritual sounding for you to have walked away without undeniable proof. So the universe let everything unfold, not to break you, but to open your eyes for good. While you were breaking in silence, the universe was building your case in secret. While you were asking, why me, the universe was preparing. Watch this. While you were begging for relief, the universe was gathering receipts. And now the reversal is happening. Out in the open, right in front of you. Don't pretend to be shocked. You asked for peace. You prayed for justice. You cried out for clarity. And now that it's here, you need to accept that it's your season for the tables to turn. They thought nobody saw their cruelty, nobody would hold them accountable, and nobody would check them. But the universe sees everything. The universe has perfect timing and perfect aim. It never needs to shout, never needs to rush, never shows up with fanfare. But when it moves, it does so with surgical precision. That silence you thought was abandonment was actually the calm before the correction. And chosen one, be brutally honest with yourself. Every time you say you were alone, you insult your own power and disrespect your journey. You were never unprotected. You were hidden in plain sight, shielded from those who would have sabotaged your destiny before its time. You were never overlooked. You were kept obscure while those who didn't belong in your life revealed themselves by their own actions. What felt like delay was really the universe preparing you, building your strength, and ensuring you wouldn't go back to old patterns once the truth was exposed. If your prayers had been answered too soon, you might have run back to people who were only ever going to hurt you again. You might have apologized for bleeding after being stabbed. You might have stayed trapped in trauma that wasn't yours to fix. The silence lasted as long as it did to make sure when you finally walked away, you'd never crawl back. Now the ones who hurt you are being judged, not just by karma, not just by external consequences, but by their own reflection and their own instability. They're drowning in the very pain they once tried to suffocate you with. And you, chosen one, are watching from the sidelines. Not because you're bitter, but because you're finished. You're done explaining yourself, done shrinking to make others comfortable, done begging the universe to hurry up. Now you know the universe was never late, never missing, never indifferent. It was always quietly working behind the scenes for your good. So don't regret the silence. Don't curse the process. Don't confuse the delay for failure. That silence was your divine protection plan, your invisible army, securing your future while your enemies believed you were defenseless. The blueprint for your breakthrough was being written in the background. So the next time that old doubt creeps in and tries to convince you that you were alone, shut it down. Say it out loud. I was never alone. I was being avenged in silence. And remember, those who thought they could harm you without consequences were never fighting just you. They were battling the force that protects you. And that's a war they were never going to win. Now you see it clearly. The silence wasn't weakness, it was warfare. The pain wasn't pointless, it was preparation. Everything they tried to bury you with has become the soil that grew your power. Let them face what they've created. You just keep rising, keep your focus, and never forget who you are. That's all for today. Dear Father, I pray for the growth of my faith. Help me trust you even when physical evidence is lacking. Let me believe in your perpetual presence, knowing you will never harm me. I understand that your thoughts for me are thoughts of prosperity and not harm, to give me a good future. Thank you, gracious and eternal Father, for always listening to my voice. I offer up this prayer to you in the name of Jesus. Amen. Sine rere in war. Thank you, Jesus, for your love and provision. I am grateful for your presence in my life and the abundance you bring. If this video resonated with you, please subscribe to the channel, and share it with those who need to hear this message. Leave a comment below about your journey and how you are preparing for your own triumphant return. If you'd like to support our work,